Right turn at the next corner.
Thanks, mister. I'll get out here.
You want some coffee?
Yeah.
Cream and sugar?
No.
Hey, you.
Me?
Yeah, you. Where are you heading?
East.
Too bad. Thought if you was heading up north, I might be able to help you out. I'm pushing for Salt Lake as soon as this fog lets up. I'm one of those guys gotta talk or I'll fall asleep. My partner, he's got Lou to keep him company. But me, I ain't got nobody at all. Where are you coming from?
West.
Oh, yeah, I know that, but where? L.A.?
Maybe.
I got a cousin in L.A.
You don't say.
Yeah, he's been Say, you're not much of a talker, are you?
My mother told me never to speak to strangers.
Oh, wise guy.
Yeah, so what?
Okay, don't get sore. Just trying to be sociable, that's all. Hey, Glamour, bust this into a flock of nickels for me, will you?
Let's play something quieter this time, Sam. My head's splitting.
Is that what's wrong with it?
Oh. Done with your coffee?
No. And don't rush me, will you? Turn that thing off!
What's eating you now?
Yeah, what's your problem, Buster?
The music, it stinks.
Oh, don't like it, eh?
No, turn it off.
Now, wait a minute, pal. That's my nickel in there, see? There's a free country and I can play whatever I want to.
That's right. If you don't like it, you can just leave any time.
Yeah. Play it again, Sam.
First good tune played tonight and you didn't like it. Some people ain't got no class.
That tune. That tune. Why was there always that rotten tune? Following me around, beating my head, never letting up. Did you ever want to forget anything? Did you ever want to cut away a piece of your memory or blot it out? You can't, you know, no matter how hard you try. Careless. I used to love that tune once. So did the customers back at the old Break of Dawn Club in New York. I can't remember a night when I didn't get at least 3 requests for it. And Sue, she was always singing it too. Those were the days.
Just
much of a club, really. I pounded the piano in there every night from 8 until the place closed, which usually meant 4 in the morning. It was a good job, as jobs went in those days. Then, too, there was Sue. It made working there a little like working in heaven. We were crazy about each other. I was an ordinary, healthy guy, and she was an ordinary, healthy girl. And when you add those two together, you get an ordinary, healthy romance. Which is the old story, sure. But somehow, the most wonderful thing in the world. All in all, I was a pretty lucky guy. I suppose that night in February after the show was the real beginning of all the trouble. Want to get something to eat, huh?
Oh, I don't think so, Al. I lose my appetite working in this flea bag. I'd like to go home.
Okay.
I can't stand much more of this dump. Did you see that drunk tonight trying to paw me?
No, what drunk?
Does it really matter what drunk?
Guess not.
Al?
Yeah.
Oh, skip it.
Say, what's the matter with you tonight, darling? That was the third time you started to tell me something, then you stopped. You shouldn't keep secrets from one another, Sue. Hey, next week we're gonna be making with the ring and the license. You and I will be a team.
Yes, that's right. In the Bush League.
I don't get you.
We've been struck out.
Well, that's a funny way to talk, darling. I thought you wanted to marry me.
Al, look. I love you, and I want to marry you.
Well, good, then it's settled.
But not now. Later on, after we've both made good. Sunday, I'm going away. I knew you'd think it was silly. That's why I hesitated to tell you. But I'm going to California. I want to try my luck in Hollywood.
That's the most stupid thing I've ever heard of. Don't you realize that millions of people go out there every year and wind up waiting tables? Or worse?
I know that.
I thought you had better sense.
Well, you sound as if you don't think I have any talent.
That doesn't have a thing to do with it.
I'll get along just fine.
Maybe. What about me? I could be drafted at any minute. We might not see each other for years.
It won't be that long.
I thought you loved me.
I do. You know I do. Oh, Al, why can't you see my side? I'm young. We both are. We have all the time in the world to settle down, Al. Really, what I'm doing is the only sane thing to do. Well, I hate the thought of being so far away from you. But we'll be together again someday. And who knows? Maybe you'll decide to come out too. Later on.
Yeah. So long.
Well, aren't you going to kiss me goodnight?
Sure. Why not? Good night.
When I first arrived in Hollywood, I thought it was a glamorous place. Well, I saw all the sights I'd read about in the movie magazines. Well, you know, like the Chinese theater where the stars put their footprints in the sidewalk out front. At the Brown Derby, I rubbed elbows with other tourists like myself. Why, I even sipped a soda at Lana Turner's favorite drugstore. I came to Hollywood to be a big actress. And what am I? A big waitress. All in all, this town was a bitter disappointment. I hate to admit it, but I probably should have stayed in New York.
Sue left in February. Before it got to be May, I was going crazy. It was like something had gone out of me not having her around. Nothing could make up for it. I hated working there, and they hated me. They were looking for any excuse to fire me.
Careless, now that you've got me loving you, you're careless, careless in everything you do. You break appointments.
That, my friends, is what I told Bernie face to face.
Yeah, you want to know what he's been doing behind your back?
I know, Bernie. I don't like her.
You break my
Gonna take Gladys home.
Are you kidding? This is wrong.
careless, now that my bridges are burned. You're careless, careless in things where I'm concerned. Are you as careless as you seem to be? Or do you just care less for me?
Waiter, come here. Come here, waiter. Here. Give this to the piano player. He's wonderful. Makes me feel so sad.
Hey, Roberts. The customers are starting to complain. Why don't you give it up, pal? She's gone. And let's face it, you ain't nothing without her.
So when this drunk handed me a 10 spot after a request, I couldn't get very excited. Couldn't buy anything I wanted. It couldn't, but then I thought of something.
Hey, what happened to the music? I gave that jerk $10 to play the music. What happened to the music?
Roberts? Hello, long distance. I'd like to put a call through to Los Angeles to a Miss Sue Harvey.
The music. Get the
Honey, it's all right. We know, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, Sue. This is Al.
Al. What a surprise. Well, it's good to hear your voice.
How are things going out there?
Oh. Well, I'm working as a waitress.
Roberts,
Hold on one moment.
I'm sorry, what?
Roberts, I'm not paying you to talk on the phone. Roberts, you're fired.
Hello, hon. I have a surprise for you. I've quit the club tonight. I'm coming out to Hollywood.
You're what?
Aren't you excited? I said, aren't you excited? Then we can get married. I said, and then we can get married. Sue?
Alec, I can't hear you. We've got a bad...
Operator, I've lost the connection.
Al? Al, are you there?
No, I don't have any more money.
The only way I could cross country was to thumb rides. For even after hawking everything, I only had enough money to eat. Money. What was it anyway? You know, stuff you never have enough of. Little green things with George Washington's picture. That men slave for, commit crimes for, die for. Women, too. It's the stuff that's caused more trouble in the world than anything else we've ever invented. Simply because there's just too little of it. At least I had too little of it. Hitching's not much fun, believe me. Oh, they say it's an education and that you meet a lot of nice people and all that. But me, from now on, I take my education in college, or in PS 62, or I'll send $1.98 in stamps for 10 easy lessons. Hitching rides may save you bus fare, but it can be dangerous. You never know what's in store for you when you hear the squeal of brakes. If only I'd known what I was getting into that day in Arizona.
Make sure that door is shut.
Somebody should write a book of rules for guys thumbing rides, because as it is now, you never know what's right or what's wrong. We drove along a while, neither of us saying anything. I never know what to say to strangers, so I kept my mouth shut until he started opening up.
Hold the wheel a minute, will you, pal?
Sure.
How far are you going?
L.A.
Oh, you're really traveling, aren't you?
Yeah. I don't expect to make it for a couple of years at the rate I've been promoting rides.
Not much luck, huh?
Sure. All bad.
Where are you coming from?
New York?
Well, New York. You're in luck this time. I'm going all the way.
To L.A.?
Straight through.
Ah, good.
Can you drive a car?
You bet. Whenever you're tired, just let me know.
I'll holler.
I guess at least an hour passed before I noticed those deep red scratches on his right hand. They were wicked. 3 puffy red lines.
Beauties, aren't they? They're gonna be scars someday. What an animal.
Must have been pretty big and vicious, whatever it was.
Right on both counts, New York. I was tussling with the most dangerous animal in the world. A woman.
Looks like you lost the bout.
Well, it certainly wasn't a draw. There ought to be a law against dames with claws.
Yeah.
When you give a girl a lift, you expect her to be nice, don't you?
Sure.
After all, what kind of broad thumb rides? Sunday school teachers?
Yeah.
Must have thought you was riding with some fall guy. Me, Charlie Haskell. I've been booking horses since I was 20. I've known a million dames like that. 2 million.
Yeah.
I stopped the car and tossed the tramp out. Was I wrong?
No.
Take the wheel again, will you, pal?
Sure.
You want to see a real scar, take a look at this.
Jesus.
I got that one dueling.
Dueling?
Yeah, well, I was just kidding, of course. My father had these 2 swords that he used to keep on the wall for decoration. And one day, another kid and I decided to take him down when he was out someplace. So we had ourselves a duel. He chopped me pretty good.
Yeah, I can see that.
Before I knew what was happening, I was slashing away at him and put out one of his eyes. I got scared and decided I was going to run away from home. I beat it while he was calling for the doctor. That was years ago. I haven't been back since. It's pulling up there for a bite or something, huh?
He did most of the talking during the half hour we were in the place. He rambled on about his old man, whom he hadn't heard from since he ran away as a kid, and how he happened to become a bookie, and then about how he got rooked in Miami.
One race, 38 grand. I cleaned out my book. How do you like that?
Tough luck, all right.
Yeah, and I was supposed to be the smart guy. Well, you just wait. Once I finish up in L.A., I'll be going back to Florida with all kinds of jack. You want anything else?
No thanks. I'm full.
Got a check there, sister?
Coming right up.
I drove all that night while Haskell slept like a log. I was happy, though. Soon I'd be with Sue again. The long trip was practically over, and there'd be no more hoofing it down the concrete. I began to think of the future, which couldn't have been brighter if I'd embroidered it with neon lights. It was nice thinking of Sue shooting to the top. Amazing what a full belly will do to your imagination.
In Hollywood, there are two types of people. The suckers, who come out here to take the town, and the slickers, who come out here to take the suckers, both on the verge of starvation. Speaking of slickers, this is Lance Rex, Hollywood cowboy, from his phony Texas accent to his installment plan Buick. My first real contact at a studio where contacts mean contracts. And boy, did we make contact tonight.
Hey, darling, how's about something to eat?
Just take me home.
Come on, Sue, how about a hot dog?
I'm not hungry.
Well, how about some coffee then? That'll sober you up.
Lance, I'm not drunk. Just take me home.
Well, here we are. Garden Court Apartments.
Well, it's late. I better get in.
Wait a minute, Sue. I didn't get your phone number.
Oh, well, we'll see each other around the restaurant.
Well, wait. Well, let's make some plans for Friday night.
I have plans for Friday night.
Well, what about Saturday?
I'm busy.
Well, what about Sunday afternoon? We could go up to the planetarium.
Sorry.
What, are you going to be sorry all next week?
Well, yes. I'm expecting my cousin. From back east.
I don't know what's wrong, but, well, I kind of thought after tonight what we had was something special.
Look, Lance. I don't know how you're going to take this, but I didn't like you.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, I'm not.
Well, I don't get it.
Well, I don't know how to put this delicately. You're not very good in bed. No, I don't need to make that any plainer. Do I?
Well, no, guess not.
Well, then good night, Lance.
Good night, Sue.
Actually, he wasn't all that bad. I just couldn't let him sit there thinking I was under his spell, like Selma and the other girls. After all, I'm not your ordinary waitress. The next order of business was to get to the bathroom and do the thing that smart girls do. But first, I had to get past the watchdog. Oh, I mean Evie. I rent her spare bedroom. With any luck at all, she'll be plastered and won't even know it's 4 in the morning.
Where'd you leave your keys? In some man's apartment?
I had them right here, somewhere.
It's the middle of the night. You know I can't get back to sleep.
Sorry, Evie. I tried to be quiet.
See, where have you been? It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
At a party with Lance Rex.
Oh, another jerk from Poverty Row. You can do better than that.
That's right. I can.
You wouldn't catch me putting out for some cowboy actor.
Did any ever ask?
Certainly not. Sue Hardy, when are you going to learn?
Who I go out with is my affair. It's important to make contacts in this town.
Speaking of contacts, that odious Mr. Fleischmeyer has been calling all evening.
Oh, yeah? What'd you tell him?
The truth, that you were turning tricks at the hot dog stand. What else?
Oh, Evie, I can wring your neck.
I didn't tell him anything. I just hung up on him.
Hung up? I've got to be nice to him. He promised me a test at Selznick's.
What did you promise him? The usual?
Nothing.
I'll bet. There isn't anything you wouldn't do to get a part.
Well, certainly there is. I wouldn't sell my body.
You couldn't. You've been piecing it out for so long, there's barely enough left to have a date with.
Ha, ha.
God, what this town does to people. Lures them out here with big promises and then flushes them down the toilet. No exceptions.
Jesus, you're bitter.
This town does it to everyone. I've seen it 100 times. Nothing ever changes. Everything stays the same. Except you. You just get older. Why would anyone want to come out here? The last stop on the trolley before it drops in the sea.
Oh, that's very good, Evie. I'll speak to a casting director about you.
You do that if you ever find a real one.
Mr. Haskell. Mr. Haskell. Mr. Haskell, it's starting to rain. Don't you think we should stop and put up the top? Mr. Haskell, I'm gonna put the top up now.
Up until then, I'd always done things my way. But from then on, something else stepped in and shunted me off to a different destination than the one I had planned for myself. For when I walked around to his side of the car...
Mr. Haskell! Mr. Haskell! Mr. Haskell! What's the matter? Are you hurt, Mr. Haskell? Mr. Haskell! What's wrong? I saw at once he was dead, and I was in for it. Who'd believe he fell out of the car? Why, if Haskell came to, which of course he couldn't, even he would swear I conked him over the head for his dough. Yes, I was in for it. Instinct told me to run. But then I realized it was useless. There were lots of people back down the road who could identify me. I would be in a worse spot then trying to explain why I beat it. The next possibility was to sit tight and tell the truth when the cops came. But that would be crazy. They'd laugh at the truth and then I'd have my head in the news. So what else was there to do but hide the body and get away in the car? I couldn't leave the car there with him in the gully. That would be like erecting a tombstone. My idea was to cover him with brush, not to rob him. But then I remembered that even if I only drove the car for 100 miles or so, I would need money for gas. Besides, it was stupid of me to leave all that money on a dead man. Not only that, I'd have to take his driver's license in case I was stopped for something. I didn't like to think about it, but by that time I'd done just what the police would say I did, even if I didn't.
Hey, you. This your car?
Yes.
Don't you know any better to leave it in the middle of the road like this? This is the way accidents happen.
I'm sorry, officer. I didn't think. I was just trying to put up my top.
Well, next time, think. I'll let you go this time, but don't do it again. I know this is a lonely stretch of road, but cars do come by here, and we've had several crack-ups.
Thanks. My clothes. The owner of such an expensive car would never be wearing them. Some cop might pull me in on suspicion. There was nothing left in the car to give me away as Roberts. If they found a dead man in that gully, it would be me.
As I drove off, it was still raining, and the drops streaked down the windshield like tears. I kept imagining I was being followed and that I could hear sirens back in the distance. Just how long it took me to cover the 60-odd miles to the California state line, I don't know. I lost all track of time. Distance, brother. That's what I wanted to put between me and that place on Route 70. I couldn't drive any farther without some sleep. Cops or no cops, I knew I had to hit the hay and hit it hard. I was dead tired.
Mr. Haskell.
Are you hurt, Mr. Haskell? Mr. Haskell, what's wrong? Who's there?
Perdóname, señor. It's the camarera, the maid.
No.
I want to clean the room.
Later.
Está bien.
I slept all the next day and decided it was safer to drive at night. Every minute I had to be Charles Haskell was dangerous. I had to get to some city where I could leave the car and be swallowed up. That meant driving as far as San Bernardino, maybe even to Los Angeles. In a little town, I might be noticed, but in a city, I should be safe enough. Then, after I ditched the car, I could go on to Sue. But first, I had to find out a little bit more about Charlie Haskell. The first thing I learned was that I had $768. This was a lot of loot, but believe me, it was the kind of money I'd rather not have. Once I had thought Haskell was tops, but that letter reversed everything. It was written to his old man in California, the one he hadn't seen in so many years. In it, Haskell posed as a Bible salesman of all things. It was easy to see where Haskell expected to raise a new stake in Miami by rooking his old man out of the family fortune. What a bum.
Hey, Sue, how's that boyfriend of yours getting along?
You mean Al? No, silly. Lance Rex. He was just fine last night.
Well, he's not fine tonight. He's in the hospital.
Hospital? What are you talking about?
I smashed up his car about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, Sue, I thought you were with him last night.
I was with him last night.
All night, Sue?
Of course not. Do I look like I've been in a wreck?
A little bit. Around the edges.
Look, are you sure we're talking about the Lance Rex?
There's only one. Imagine that gorgeous face, all smashed up.
It's right here in the evening paper.
Yeah, it's here next to the obituaries.
We're waiting.
Lance Rex, film actor, was injured early this morning when his convertible struck a tree at the entrance to Griffith Park. Mr. Rex, having just finished the starring role in Monogram's Trails and will next be seen on Broadway in New York.
New York?
That guy in a Broadway show? You're kidding.
Wow, that's class. Wish I was going to New York. I'm a good actress, but I can't sing.
Yeah? Well, I can sing.
Just across the California state line in Desert Center, near the airport, I stopped to check the radiator and stretch my legs. The place was closed. I didn't see anybody around. But there was a woman.
about a lift, mister?
Get in.
How far are you going?
Los Angeles.
L.A.? L.A.'s good enough for me, mister.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
What'd you say?
Huh? Oh, nothing. Just thinking out loud.
People get into trouble for doing that.
What's your name?
You can call me Vera if you like.
You live in L.A.?
No.
Well, where are you coming from?
Oh, back there.
Needles?
No.
Oh, sure. Phoenix. You look just like a Phoenix girl.
Are the girls in Phoenix that bad?
The girl must have been pretty tired, because she fell asleep not 20 minutes after she stepped into the car. The kid probably had a rough time of it. Who was she anyway? And why was she going to Los Angeles? And where'd she come from in the first place? The only thing I knew about her was her name. Not that it made any difference. A few hours more and we'd be in Hollywood. I'd forget where I parked the car and look up Sue. Then this nightmare of being a dead man would be over.
Where'd you leave his body?
Where'd I what?
Where'd you leave the owner of this car? You're not fooling anybody. This buggy belonged to a guy named Haskell, and that ain't you, mister.
You're out of your mind. That's my name, Charlie Haskell. I can prove it. Here's my license.
Save yourself the trouble. Having Haskell's wallet only makes it worse. It just so happens that I rode with Charlie Haskell all the way from Louisiana. He picked me up outside of Shreveport.
You rode?
You heard me.
Then it all came back to me. All that talk about dueling and scars and scratches. There was no doubt about it. Vera must be the woman Haskell had mentioned. She must have passed me while I slept. It couldn't have been Helen or Mary or Evelyn or Ruth. It had to be the very last person I should have ever met. That's life. Whichever way you turn, fate sticks out a foot to trip you. I decided to tell her everything. I told her the truth.
That's the biggest cock and bull story I ever heard. Who do you think you're talking to? A hick? Listen, brother. I've been around, and I know a wrong guy when I see one. What'd you do? Kiss him with a wrench?
Now wait a minute. What I told you was true. You see, that's why I had to do it. You think I killed him. Well, the cops would have thought so too.
Well, maybe they still think so. What makes you so sure I'll shut up about this?
Vera, please. I'm innocent. Give me a break, will you?
I shouldn't. But it won't do me any good to have you pinched. The cops are no friends of mine. Now, if there was a reward... But there isn't.
Thanks.
Don't thank me yet. I'm not through with you by a long shot. Now let's see that bankroll. Is that all he had?
Isn't it enough?
No. I thought he had more.
Not that I know of. You can search me if you think I'm holding out on you.
Well, maybe I will at that. He told me he was going to bet $3,000 on a horse at Santa Anita on Wednesday.
He was stringing you along. He meant 300.
Maybe.
Sure. $3, 300. He was a piece of cheese. Big blowhard.
Listen, mister. Don't tell me anything about Charlie Haskell. Remember, I knew him better than you did.
Okay, then you know he was a liar and a cheat. That explains the $3,000 bet.
I'm not so sure he didn't have that $3,000. Why should I believe you? You've got all the earmarks of a cheap crook.
Now wait a minute.
Shut up. You're a cheap crook and you killed him. And for 2 cents, I'd put you in jail. I don't like you.
All right. Take it easy.
You just remember who's boss around here. If you shut up and don't give me any problems, you'll have nothing to worry about. But if you act smart, well, mister, you'll pop into jail so fast it'll make your head swim.
I'm not arguing.
Well, see that you don't. You know, as crooked as you look, I'd hate to see a fellow as young as you wind up sniffing that perfume Arizona hands out free to murderers.
I'm not a murderer.
Of course you're not. Haskell knocked his own head off.
He fell. That's how it happened, just like I told you.
Sure. And then he made you a present of his belongings.
Look, I explained to you
why. Skip it. It doesn't make any difference one way or another. I'm not a mourner. I liked Haskell even less than I like you.
Yeah, I saw what you did to him.
What do you mean?
I saw how you scratched him.
Sure. I scratched him.
I'll say you did.
So your idea was to drive the car a little way, maybe to San Bernardino, and then ditch it? Weren't you gonna sell it?
Sell it? You think I'm crazy? Somebody else's car? I just want to leave it somewhere and forget I ever saw it.
Not only don't you have any scruples, you don't have any brains.
I don't get you.
Maybe it's a good thing you met up with me. You'd have got yourself caught for sure. Why, you dope. Don't you know a deserted car always rates an investigation?
Huh?
Look, the cops find a car. Then they get curious. They want to know who the owner is. So, all right, they don't trace Haskell, they trace you.
Never thought of that.
The only safe way to get rid of the car is to sell it to a dealer. Get it registered under a new name. Say, stop at the next town. I want to get a bottle before we hit L.A.
Okay, I'll drop you off and pick you up later.
Nothing doing. You're coming in, too. From now on, you and I are gonna be like Siamese twins.
Well, I'm not gonna beat it if that's what you're afraid of.
I'll say you're not. Well, I'm gonna see that you sell this car so you don't get caught.
You wouldn't happen to win a small percentage of the profits.
Well, now that you insist, how can I refuse? 100% will do.
Fine. I'm relieved. For a moment there, I thought you were gonna take the whole thing.
I don't want to be a hog.
Evie, did you see the newspaper?
Oh, Sue, I'm so sorry I've been so mean to you.
It's all right, Evie. He's going to be okay.
What?
Well, it's just some cuts and bruises.
What are you talking about?
Lance, of course.
Who cares about that crummy cowboy actor? I'm talking about Alex. You know, your boyfriend from the East. Sue, you'd better come here and sit down. He's dead, Sue. Alex is dead. I'm so sorry.
Will you wake me up before you go to the studio? I'm going to see Lance tomorrow.
Well, I must say, you're certainly taking it well.
People die every day, Evie. Besides, what do you care? You never even knew Alex.
Why, Sue Harvey, your boyfriend's dead. And all you can think about is that silly cowboy actor.
Oh, go fly a kite. It's the living that need looking after, and I'm sick to death of your sermons.
Well then, Missy, you can just find yourself another place to live.
That won't be necessary. I'm going to New York next week as Mrs. Lance Rex. Hello, Lance.
Well, hello, Sue.
Well, I see you got my flowers.
Yeah, quite a surprise after the other night.
I wanted to talk to you about that. I feel kind of responsible. I mean, maybe if I hadn't said all those awful things, well, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
Nobody's fault. I was just tired and lost control of the car, that's all. Anyway, I'll be out of here on Friday.
Lance, I've been so worried since this happened. I haven't slept a wink.
Really, Sue?
Well, of course, silly.
Well, I'm sorry about the other evening. I suppose it was my fault. Sue, was I really that bad?
No. Well, you know I didn't mean those things. Well, I liked you from the very first time you came into the restaurant. In fact, I was kind of hoping you'd ask me out.
Really?
Really. Now I've gone and ruined it. I'm just not myself when I drink. And I certainly wouldn't want you to think that I go around accommodating every man that asks me out.
Oh, I'd never think that of you.
Well, anyway, I've learned my lesson. No more drinking and dating. Positively.
I'm glad you didn't mean what you said the other night. Well, I sort of thought what we had was something special.
Oh, it was special, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and it still is, Sue.
I was hoping you felt that way. Look, Lance, I'm not one to beat around the bush. And I've been thinking, you're going to New York next week to star in the new Harris production of Cactus Capers. And according to Variety, the leading lady isn't set yet. And, well...
Well, what?
You'll be out of here on Friday. And feeling about each other the way we do, I thought that we could go to Reno on Saturday and be married. And we'll leave for New York as Mr. and Mrs. Lance Rex. I sing, you know.
Well, no, I didn't know that.
Won't it be great publicity for the show? I hear Harris is a pushover when it comes to publicity.
No, hold on, Sue. You and me, married?
Yes.
Say, you're not in a family way, are you?
Don't be silly. Now, are you gonna marry me or not?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Oh, Lance. Lance, you've made me the happiest girl in the whole world.
Sue, my arm.
I've got to run. God, I've got a million things to do. Well, it's not every day a girl gets married, you know, and we don't have much time.
Well, now, slow down, Sue. We got all the time in the world.
Are you kidding? We go into rehearsal in 10 days.
Yeah, but I don't.
What do you mean?
I'm not in the show.
What do you mean you're not in the show? It was in the paper and everything.
Well, yeah, it was yesterday, but because of this accident, the producer got worried, and we hired Buster Crabbe this morning.
Buster Crabbe?
Yeah, got some more good news for you. Monogram isn't renewing my contract.
They aren't?
But Sue, all that doesn't matter now.
It doesn't?
Sue, like most people in this town, I'm a nobody. Being paid $75 a week to play second fiddle to a horse don't make you a movie star. It makes you stupid.
But Lance...
Sue, you're the only real thing that's ever happened to me in this town. Your proposal made up my mind. We'll get married, drive back to Iowa, have a dozen kids, and live like real people do.
Real people? Who wants to live like real people? I've spent my entire life living like real people. I'm sick of real people. You know, that's why I came out here. I came to Hollywood to be somebody, to make something of myself. I want him to look up there at that silver screen and say, "There's Suzanne Harvey. Isn't she beautiful?" I'm an actress. Always have been. Always will be.
Well, what about us, Sue?
I'm sorry, Lance. Being a farmer's wife in Iowa is not my idea of a happy ending.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk about this.
Lance, it won't work.
I'll be out of here by Friday.
I'm busy. I've made plans with my cousin. You remember? The one from back east?
Oh, but Sue...
Bye, Lance. And good luck. Back there in Iowa.
When we finally arrived in Hollywood, it struck me that far from being at the end of the trip, there was a greater distance between Sue and me than when I started out. Vera wasn't kidding with that Siamese twins crack. She rented a little apartment as Mr. and Mrs. Charles Haskell. When I objected to this, she explained that it was on account of the car. A dealer might think something was funny if he called and found we were using different names.
Home, sweet home.
Yeah.
In case there's any doubt in your mind, I'll take the bedroom. Hey, this place ain't too bad.
Some joint.
Quit complaining. We're damn lucky to get any apartment. There's a war on, you know. Or haven't you heard?
Yeah, I've heard.
Say, I've been meaning to ask you something, Roberts.
What?
Why ain't you in uniform? Are you a draft dodger? Or is something else the matter?
No, I'm not a draft dodger. And nothing else is the matter.
Swell. That's good. I bet you're in big demand now that all the men are overseas. Oh, yeah. There's one more thing, Roberts.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm first in the bathtub.
I don't know why, but I figured you would be.
Boy, oh boy, it feels good to be clean again. I must be 10 pounds lighter.
You must be.
Well, hitching rides isn't exactly the way you keep a schoolgirl complexion.
And it's hot in here.
Forget it. Have a drink.
Aren't you afraid I might take you up on it?
If I didn't want to give you a drink, I wouldn't have offered it. Why be such a sorehead, Robert? You got yourself into this thing. You should be grateful that I'm not turning you in. Why, if I didn't have such a sweet nature, you'd be in jail right this minute, being photographed, fingerprinted, and pushed around by the cops. So cheer up. Get rid of that long face. Or is your conscience bothering you?
No, it isn't.
Swell. That's the spirit. He's dead and no moaning around will bring him back. Anyway, I never could understand this worrying about something that's over and done with.
Now look, Vera, for the last time, I didn't kill him. Haskell was a sick man. He could have been dead before he fell out of the car. I don't know.
Sure, he died of old age. All right? If it'll make you more sociable, you didn't kill him. Now have a drink. We're out of liquor, Roberts.
Yeah.
Too bad. I felt like getting drunk tonight.
Well, I think you succeeded.
That's good. I wanted to get drunk.
Why? What do you have to get drunk about?
Oh, I don't know. Lots of things.
You should have my worries.
If I had your worries, I'd stay sober. And I've got the key to that door.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right.
I'm always right.
Sure.
I don't like the way you say that, mister.
Well, there's a lot of things I don't like.
Sure. But life is like a ball game. You gotta take a swing at whatever comes along before you wake up and find it's the 9th inning.
I'll bet you read that somewhere.
That's the trouble with you, Roberts. All you do is complain instead of trying to make the best of things. But maybe that's what's wrong with the whole world. People knock themselves out trying to buck fate. Now take you, for instance. Why, you're lucky just to be alive. I suppose Haskell had opened your door. You'd be playing a harp now, think of that.
You think of it. I'm tired of thinking.
There's plenty of people dying right this minute that I'd give anything to trade places with you. I know what I'm talking about.
I'm not so sure. At least they know they're done for. They don't have to sweat blood wondering if they are.
Your philosophy stinks, pal. We all know we're gonna kick off someday. It's just a question of when. How'd we get on this subject anyways? We'll be discussing politics next.
Yeah. Where'd you hide the butts?
On the table, sucker.
We bored each other with conversation for a few hours more. Every 5 minutes, each of us was wishing we had another bottle or something to do. Then we finally ran out of chatter. I know it's only 11 o'clock, but I want to get up early and make the rounds of the used car lots.
Don't worry about that. We got all the time in the world.
Maybe you do, but if you think I want to stay cooped up in this place any longer than I have to, you're batty.
It's not a bad place. You'd pay plenty for diggings like this in New York.
I wouldn't like it if it was the Ritz.
Rotten liquor.
That's a mean cough. You ought to do something about it.
I'll be all right.
That's what Camille said.
You mean that garbo broad?
Yeah, something like that.
Wouldn't it be a break for you if I did kick off? You'd be free with all Haskell's dough and car.
I don't want to see anybody die.
Not even me.
Not even you.
You don't like me, do you, Roberts?
Like you? I love you. My favorite sport's being kept prisoner.
That's fate, Roberts. Life takes a little detour now and then. Some things just can't be helped. So relax. We're both in this thing together. Why not make the best of things?
What do you mean, Vera?
You know what I mean. Things aren't so bad. They could get better. Here we are. Alone. Just you and me. Man. What? You know what you want. I know what you want. So why not, Roberts? I'm going to bed now. My door's unlocked.
Good night, Vera.
Good night, Roberts.
And don't try to escape. If I find you gone in the morning, I'll call the cops. I hope you find that sofa comfortable.
All right. Hello? Hello? Hello?
No, not yet, darling. Tomorrow. Maybe.
If this were fiction, I'd fall in love with Vera, marry her, and make a respectable woman of her. Or else she'd make some supreme Class A sacrifice for me and die. But unfortunately, this wasn't fiction, and Vera was just as rotten in the morning as she'd been the night before.
All right, I'm coming.
Look, Vera, it's almost noon.
So what? The dealers will be there all day?
Yeah, they'll be there all year, too, but that doesn't mean I want to wait that long.
Shut up. You're making noises like a husband. Well, don't I read a whistle?
Yeah, sure, but let's get going.
Let's go, let's go. I spent $85 preparing bait, and all you can say is let's go. Come on.
How much do you think we can get for this heap?
I don't know.
But you just let me handle everything.
Think we can get 2,000?
Maybe. But don't worry. I'll squeeze as much out of them as I can. You just keep your mouth shut.
You don't need to tell me that.
Good afternoon. What can I do for you folks? Ma'am?
We're interested in selling this car.
Yeah.
If the price is right.
Well, if she's in good mechanical condition, she had a blue book for about, well, 1,600.
What a comedian.
Rock bottom, 1850.
2 grand. 2 grand and no sale.
Tony, come over here and have a look at this motor. On second thought, the best I can do for you is 1,400, maybe 1,450.
Before I let it go for 1,450, I'll wreck it and collect the insurance first.
Look, lady, this motor's seen a lot of driving. She's pumping oil.
You used car dealers are all alike. Cheap, chiseling rats.
Take it easy, Vera. Will you let me handle this?
Yes, darling.
Say, is your wife always like this?
Shut up.
New York, huh? Yeah, but you bought the car in Miami.
Yeah.
Well, the registration is all here, but where's the title?
It isn't there.
No. No.
1,450 bucks. Dirty crooks.
Do you have a lien on the car? A bill of sale, perhaps?
Well,
You don't know?
Well, it must be here somewhere.
Have you signed the papers yet, darling?
No.
We're keeping the car.
Well, wait a minute, Mrs. Haskell.
Shut up, Chiseler. I can keep my own car if I want to.
You can't talk to me like that.
Come along, darling. I'll explain later.
But Vera.
Jesus, Vera, what's wrong now?
I almost threw away a gold mine.
Well, I got news for you. Unless we can produce a title, we're not selling the car.
That's right. We're not selling the car.
I want to be through with this mess when I go.
That's just it, Roberts. You're not going.
Now, wait a minute, Vera.
Let's eat. There's a drive-in down the street. I'll explain later.
This one's yours, honey.
Sorry, Selma. I'm off.
Hi, folks. What can I get you?
Just a hot dog and a Coke.
And you, sir?
I'll take a hamburger.
He'll have the same.
Thanks. Order up.
Get this, Vera. I've been pretty patient so far. I've done everything you've asked, but I've had it.
Shut up.
You've got Haskell's dough. You can have the car, but you're not going to keep me prisoner.
Take a look at that.
I'm not interested.
Read it.
No.
Yes.
No, I won't do it.
Yes, you will.
You think I'm crazy?
You'll do it, all right.
Excuse me. Just honk the horn when you're through.
It's not only impossible, it's just plain stupid. No one could get away with an act like that. They'd be onto me in a minute.
Don't be yellow. You look enough like him. The same coloring and the same build. I see how his clothes fit you. No kidding, you almost had me fooled.
Oh, grow up, Vera. Don't you think a father would recognize his own son? There must be other relatives.
The father won't have to know you. We'll wait until he gives up the ghost. He's an old geezer and he won't pull through. And as far as the other relatives are concerned, they haven't seen you in 15 or 20 years. Eat.
I won't do it.
It's not as tough as it sounds. Why, you've got all kinds of identification. His car, letters, licenses.
I'm telling you, I can never get away with it.
The old boy has scads of dough. Look, here in the paper. Personal fortune assessed at over 15 million. He'll leave plenty, I tell you.
Maybe he cut off his son. How do we know? It's out, Vera. I won't have anything to do with it.
I think you will.
Look, Vera, I'll do anything within reason, but not that. So forget it. Or find yourself another stooge.
You sap! You'll be fixed for the rest of your life as Charlie Haskell. You can take your inheritance and go away. No more worrying about the rent, no more sweating and scheming, wondering where your next meal's coming from. Think about that, Roberts!
Vera, please. You're talking too loud.
On this, I'm splitting 50-50 with you. Sure, why not? We're both alike. Both born in the same gutter.
No.
Well, wait until we read that old man Haskell's dead. Then you show up. Like you read in Miami that he was sick.
And suppose he doesn't die?
He will. I know he will. Something tells me.
As much as I insisted that I wanted no part of her scheme, Vera was taking it for granted I would. Neither of us had our minds on the cards we played that night. This was a death watch for Vera. Maybe it was for me, too.
Don't you realize if I get caught, they want to know where I got the car? Then they'd have me on a murder charge?
If you're smart, you won't get caught.
And if I get caught, don't you realize that you'd be out too?
How will I be out?
You'd be out the $1,450 we could have gotten on the car. Let me sell the car tomorrow. That dealer was so crooked he would have taken it without the title. Then we'd both be in the clear.
I'll be in the clear anyway.
Maybe. If I got caught, well, I'd be pretty sore at you.
You mean you'd squeal?
Well, no, that's not what I meant.
Never mind what you meant. Even if you did tell the cops I was in on it with you, what could they do to me? They might give me the same medicine they'd be giving you. A rope. But I'm on my way out anyway. They'd only be Russian things.
All right, but think of all the money that you'd lose.
I'll take the chance. You want another drink?
A couple of days ago, you didn't have a dime. Now you have $700 with almost $1,450 in the offing. Take my advice. Don't try for more.
I'm tired of this game. Let's have some blackjack.
Play solitaire.
All right, I will, if that's the way you feel about it.
That's the way I feel about it.
Well, getting sore and throwing things won't help, Roberts. I'm really doing you a favor. I help you out of a jam by keeping my mouth shut. I show you how to make some big bucks. And what thanks do I get?
Thanks?
Sure. Or would you rather I called the cops and told them you killed a man and stole his money?
I didn't kill anybody.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. You know I didn't.
All right, then. Well, suppose I did call the cops. If you're innocent, what do you have to worry about?
Go ahead. Call him. See if I care.
You want me to call him?
You heard me. But I'm warning you. If I'm nailed, I'll swear you were in on it. I'll say that you helped me. You'll go right down with me.
You wouldn't dare. You're chicken.
Oh, yeah? Then try it and see. Call him.
All right. I will. I want the number for the Hollywood police station. Okay. Thanks.
Wait a minute, Vera. You wouldn't.
Oh, wouldn't I? Give me that and I'll show you if I would.
Take it easy now. Let's talk it over. This was early in the evening, and the conversation, while hectic, was at least pitched low. But as the minutes passed and more obstacles to her plan popped into my head, the air got blue. Every word coming from our lips cracked like a whip. I reminded her that as Charles Haskell, I didn't even know my mother's name, where I went to school, the name of my best friend, whether or not I had an Aunt Emma, my religion, or if I ever owned a dog. I didn't even know what my middle initials stood for. And I also pointed out that the real Haskell had some scars.
These folks never saw that scar. Anyway, he ran away as soon as he poked the kid's eye out.
Yeah, but his father knew that he was cut. There'd have to be some kind of a mark.
So what? The old boy is dead, or at least he will be by tomorrow morning's paper. Anyway, you could cut yourself a little, couldn't you? Boy, for that kind of dough, I'd let him cut my leg off.
You're drunk and crazy, Vera. Turn me in if you want, but I won't get involved in this. Besides, Haskell was such a phony. Maybe he wasn't the man's son at all. Maybe he just dreamed it up.
Well, dreaming or not, you won't be dreaming when the law taps you on the shoulder. There's a cute little gas chamber waiting for you, Roberts. And I hear extradition to Arizona's always a cinch. Now, where's that phone?
Vera!
Leave me alone, do you hear?
Vera!
I want a phone. Call the police. I hate you, you murderer. You leave me alone.
I'll leave you alone when you promise to leave the phone where it is. You're drunk. You don't know what you're doing.
You're hurting me.
Will you leave the phone alone?
All right. You hurt me.
I'm sorry, but...
And it's hot in here. Open up the window.
It's not hot in here.
Don't tell me. Now, do you do it or do I do it? You know, gentlemen, see.
Yeah, all right. I'll open a window. Vera! Vera! Open the door. Vera, please open the door. Vera, don't use that phone. Listen to me.
I don't like you, Robert. You know, gentlemen, see? You hurt my hand. I'm gonna get even with you, Robert.
I'll do anything you say. Don't call the cops, Vera. Please. Leave the phone alone. Let me in.
I hate you, you murderer, you. I'm gonna get even with you.
Vera!
Hello? Hello?
If you don't open the door, I'll break the phone. Vera.
The room was still, so quiet that for a while I thought I'd suddenly gone deaf. It was pure fear, of course. Vera was dead, and I was a murderer. Murderer. What an awful word that is, but I had become one, and I'd better not get caught. What evidence there was about the place had to be destroyed. And from the looks of things, there was plenty. Looking around the room at the things we bought was like looking into the faces of the people that had seen us together and could identify me. That's the kind of testimony I couldn't rub out. No, I could burn clothes and hide bottles for the next 5 years. There'd always be witnesses. The landlady, for one, she could identify me. The car dealer, that waitress in the drive-in, the girl in the dress shop, and that guy in the liquor store. I was trapped, done for. I had to get out of there. While once I'd remained beside a dead body, planning carefully how to avoid being accused of killing him. This time I couldn't. This time I was guilty. Knew it. Felt it. I was like a guy suffering from shock. Things were whirling around in my head. I couldn't make myself think right. I had to stay calm. I had to escape. But my problems weren't solved. I had to stay away from New York for all time, because Al Roberts was listed as dead and had to stay dead. And I can never go back to Hollywood. Someone might recognize me as Haskell. And then, too, there was Sue. I could never go to her with a thing like this hanging over my head. And all I could do is pray that she'd be happy. And someday, get over me. I was in Bakersfield before I read that Vera's body was discovered and that the police were looking for Haskell in connection with his wife's murder. Isn't that a laugh? Haskell got me into this thing, and Haskell was getting me out of it. The police were searching for a dead man. I keep trying to forget what happened and wonder what my life might have been like if that car of Haskell's hadn't stopped. And when I start wondering, well, sometimes I want to laugh, sometimes I want to cry, because fate, or some mysterious force, can put the finger on you, or me, or anyone, for no good reason at all.
Careless, now that you've got me loving you. You're careless, careless in everything you do. You break appointments and think you are smart. If you're not careful, you'll break my heart. Careless, now that my bridges are burned. You're careless, careless in things where I'm concerned. Are you as careless as you seem to be? Or do